Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 2 of the College Hockey South podcast. My name is Henry Yoho, and this week on the College Hockey South podcast, we're going to be talking to defenseman from Florida Atlantic, David Israel, our most recent College Hockey South Player of the Week. We sat down and talked to him about playing at Florida Atlantic, the growth of the game in South Florida, his journey to how he ended up in playing in Boca Raton at Florida Atlantic after a part of his early life in Toronto. His game taking him to different places across the continent, and it was really great chatting with him. And we're excited to bring you David Israel from Florida Atlantic. All right, and welcome to the College Hockey South podcast. It's my pleasure now to welcome on our most recent College Hockey South Player of the Week, defenseman from Florida Atlantic, David Israel. David, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to talk to you about this past weekend. First of all, two big wins for you guys over Delaware over the weekend. 10-0 win in game one, a 5-2 win for you guys in game two. You had 6 points across the two games, 3 in both. So what was working so well for you and the team over the weekend against Delaware?
I think we were just really fast, moving the puck well. We cycled the puck really well, and they had a tough time defending us off the rush. And then when we did possess the puck down low, they also struggled defending us off the cycle. So we were pretty effective there. I think Friday night we had legs. We had that jump in our step, and they're traveling. It's usually how it is on the Friday nights when teams come down to play us. And then Saturday they gave us a little bit of a better game, and but we still found a way to get it done.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's been super impressive watching you guys this season. You guys have been first in Division I of College Hockey South for pretty much the entire season, with a record of 15-2-1. And you guys even have less games played than the teams that are right behind you in the standings. What's been kind of like your assessment of the season so far, and like how you guys have been performing so well so far this season?
Yeah, I think we have an older roster, so we have a really good leadership group, and we've been through this a few times, myself included. So we have a good idea of kind of what our standard is and how we want to play, and I think we're holding everybody to that accountability. And we have a new coach this year who's doing a great job of keeping everybody accountable and making sure that we're taking the little details a little bit more serious. Over the last few years, I feel like that's kind of where we've gone wrong. It's just the little stuff and the good habits, especially when we have big leads, making sure that we're not changing the way we play and that we're continuing to play the way that we expect everybody to play and contribute.
So you mentioned one thing that I was going to ask you about. I know that you guys have a bit of an older, like, veteran team. Do you feel like this year, like, kind of things are coming together, like, at the right time for you guys? Like, you guys have been playing together for a while now. Do you think like now is like a point where you guys are like kind of trending in the right direction as we head into like the playoffs and the national tournament as well?
Yeah, like when I first came in, the team was also pretty old, and I was like the young guy, but we were contending back then too. So every year we've kind of had a chance to win, and we've kind of fell short around the quarterfinals or semifinals of nationals. And we lost to Georgia 2 years ago in the divisional championship. But yeah, this year I think our leadership group's just a little bit more. It's more committed than other years. And then the rookies that have came in, they've really done a great job of just buying in and being all in with our team and just being great guys. And they've also pretty good players themselves, and they've been able to contribute for us defensively and offensively. So it's been really nice. I think we got a little bit more depth this year than in prior seasons, and we just have our eye on the prize a little bit more focused this year around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned like the national tournament. Like, I know you guys have been like one of the top teams like in your groups the last few years, and like things haven't. I know the national championship's like a really brutal schedule, like where you guys have to play like 3 games in a row. Like, what's it going to take this year for you guys to kind of get beyond the next step, like getting out of pool play? Like I mentioned, like having to play 3 days in a row is like really tough. Like, what's it going to take this year for you guys to go a little further?
So to win it, it's 6 days in a row because you got to win all 6, right? So we've actually never gotten out of pool play. We've had two stints at nationals, and we just haven't gotten to that 4th game yet. But I think the biggest thing is just making sure that we understand that it's more of a marathon, and we have to be taking care of our bodies and stretching, your nutrition, getting proper sleep, and making sure that each day we're showing up. And I'm sure I won't be as good as I am on the Tuesday compared to the Friday, but as long as I can still contribute and we have the good habits and that good structure in place, and we got to make sure all 4 lines have to produce. We can't be relying on just our top guys to be out there and just be relying on them for all the offense. If we can get depth scoring and everybody can find ways to contribute over that week, I think we could be really successful compared to prior seasons where, I feel like we've struggled with getting that depth scoring on our roster. And, hopefully this is the year that we come through.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned the depth. That was something I was going to get into next. So you guys have four of the top five scorers like within the Division II of College Hockey South, between yourself, Matthias Weir leading the way with 49 points on the season. Caleb Owens and Leon Biller also are in the top five in Division II in College Hockey South, and you guys are also among like some of the leaders nationally in all of AAU college hockey. What's it been like so far this season? Like kind of the depth, so many guys are like firing. The high end scoring. Like, what's it kind of been like for you so far this season with so many guys producing at a high level?
Yeah, I just think that all those guys you named, they're so talented. They see the ice very well. So it kind of just makes everybody else in the team better being able to play with players like that, including myself, just being able to play with those four. When we get on the power play, it's a lot of fun. We work the puck really well. And yeah, they're just really talented. You give them the puck in a good spot and, they'll bury it, they'll put it in. And, they're also just great leaders in the locker room. So I think it's just a mix of everything that's been working for us. And yeah, the depth guys, even some of the guys you didn't name, like Daniel Tove, he's been a great rookie for us this year, kind of stepping up, and Christian Cotter, bringing us a little bit more depth and a little bit more like punch to our game instead of being more, hey, you got to cover Weir, Friedman in Israel, adding Owens and Biller, and Tove and a couple other guys that are stepping up now in their sophomore and junior years. It's just been really huge for us. And hopefully, it shows down the stretch.
Absolutely. I know you guys have like aspirations of going deep this year. I know that one thing from looking at you guys' schedule this year, you guys haven't shied away from scheduling games out of conference, out of division. You guys have had a number of Division I opponents this year, like University of Tampa. You guys played Farmingdale a few weeks ago. I know you had Fairfield on the schedule initially in a couple of weeks. I know that game got canceled. But like, what's been kind of like the process of playing so many teams from out of the conference? Is it kind of like just trying to widen like the competition that you guys are going up against, trying to kind of mold your team like for the national championship and conference tournaments down the road?
Well, yeah, I think, our management staff, just over the years, they've gotten more experience of understanding kind of what we need for games. I think in the past, I remember my first year or two being here, our strength of schedule wasn't too hard. So that, that negatively impacts your ranking on my hockey. So, we made sure it was a priority to schedule games that would help our strength of schedule and then also give us a little bit better of a competition. Because, I remember my freshman year, our strength of schedule wasn't great. We started off like 14-0, and then when we started playing some more real teams, we had a tough time. So just getting us into games that are really competitive and kind of playoff caliber off the get-go is really important for us, and kind of gets us in the right mindset on what we need to do at playoffs and getting us prepared for games that we're going to face a lot more adversity. And then as well as the strength of schedule being a big part of that. That's why we're able to be ranked among the Division I teams as well, is because we're playing Division I teams. So yeah, I think that's been great.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like the training schedule's been impressive. Like the only losses that you guys have this season have been against Division I teams. So that's been something that's been totally impressive as well. This weekend, you guys have your last regular season matchup with Florida Division II. What are you guys hoping to see over this final homestand for you guys as you head into the conference tournament here in a few weeks in Huntsville?
Yeah, we're really excited to play this weekend. The rink's going to be slammed. It's going to be a really fun environment. We always have really great games with UF. They're a really good team over there. I remember they beat us last year in overtime. They always give us a good game. They're very competitive. They're a well-structured team, in my opinion. And they got a lot of talented kids. They got a lot of Florida Alliance kids that have graduated and moved on, and they're over there. So they have a good group over there. They're probably, we think they're probably our biggest competition right now in Division II. So we'll see how we do this weekend. And hopefully, our home games, like I said, they're a little bit. I wish we could play nationals at home, because we're pretty good at home. We do really well there. We're very comfortable, and so they're gonna come down there. We'll play them, have a good weekend, and then we got to get our minds ready for the divisional playoff, where we'll probably end up seeing them again somewhere in the final area.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys about the home rink. You guys like what's like the kind of the atmosphere like for you guys in the home games? Like, how far away is the rink from campus? And like what's that environment like?
It's not too. Yeah, sorry to cut you off there a little bit. It's not too. It's not too far from campus. I'd say it's about like 20 minutes from campus. Yeah. You got to go a little bit west. It's the Panthers. It's an old Florida Panther practice facility. They just moved down to Fort Lauderdale in the new rink. So we got like a bar up top and half a stadium, and people pack it. We have a lot of parents, obviously, but a lot of youth hockey players. I coach down here at youth hockey, so there's a lot of kids that come out to watch their coaches play, and then we get a lot of students as well, because Who doesn't love to go watch a hockey game on a Friday night? So yeah, we slam it. We get like 4 to maybe 900 people a game. It kind of varies depending on what school we're playing, but it's been a lot of fun to play in front of that many people, and they bring a great. It's just a great vibe. It's a great atmosphere, and it's just electric. I love it. I look forward to it every single weekend.
Do you think like the chance to play hockey in South Florida and Boca, like play in front of this rink that you guys play in, like the kind of atmosphere? Do you think it's like a huge selling point for for students that are looking to continue their collegiate hockey career? Like I can't think of too many better places than Florida Atlantic to play. Like after your time is done at a previous level, like moving on to college, like what's kind of like the selling point for you guys recruiting
Yeah, I
players?
think we kind of phrased it hockey in paradise. It's up in our
Mm-hmm.
locker room. That's all over our websites, our clothing, all that stuff, and it couldn't be more accurate. It really is paradise over here. I love living down in Boca. I'm originally from Toronto. I moved down here when I was in Bantam, so I've been here now for about 11 years, and I love the experience. I think it's a great place for kids that are looking to come down here for 4 years or move down here permanently to play hockey, or just work in general. But yeah, I mean, we play all the teams that are up north. I mean, you could play in the same, if you look at like Delaware, for example, you could play Florida Atlantic or, Delaware, it's the same level. And, we've shown that we're definitely competitive and can play with those teams. So I think it's kind of a no brainer to get the sunshine and the ice time. So it's a good experience and good opportunity for anybody that wants to do that.
You mentioned being from Toronto. I actually saw that when looking through like your hockey DB and stuff. So what age were you like when you moved down to South Florida? Like, was your family originally from Toronto? And like, kind of was like hockey kind of like part of your life growing up there? I know it's like one of the hockey hotbeds of the world. What was that kind of like growing up?
Yeah, it was definitely my entire life. Just eat, sleep hockey. It's what I was doing growing up. And then my dad wanted to move us down here. Start a business down in the U.S. So he came down here, moved me down when I was in 14U, and then I played youth hockey down in Florida till I was 18, and I got drafted to the North American Hockey League. So I moved up to South Dakota, played up there for a season, and then once because the coaches asked, what kind of schools you guys interested in, we'll see if we can send some clips and stuff, and that's when I realized that, yeah, I don't want to go live in, Maine or New Hampshire. I think I'm gonna come back to Florida and still play hockey and have a good time. So, yeah, everything, even coming down here, I'm still all about hockey. I run a youth ice hockey program down here called the South Florida Wolfpack, and then I also coach, and I'm the director of player personnel for the Palm Beach Hawks youth program at Lake Worth called Palm Beach Skate Zone. So I do that full time, camps, clinics, tournaments, hockey private lessons, and I plan on continuing to do that once I graduate from FAU. So I'm still surrounding myself with hockey 24/7, and I love it. It's great.
Yeah, like I was curious, like like originally growing up in Toronto and then moving down here, like were you impressed or like surprised at all by like kind of how big like hockey has become like down here in Florida? Like were you surprised by like the level of competition? Like was it a little bigger than maybe you were expecting, or like how did that sort of transition play out for you?
I think originally coming down, I wasn't too impressed. Obviously coming from Toronto, I think over the last like 4 or 5 seasons, as the Panthers kind of have picked it up a little bit, hockey's really booming down in Southeast Florida. If you do go up to Tampa, though, they got like the greatest hockey programs up there in the state, and they have really nice facilities. And it's just Tampa's been really dominant in the NHL, so I think they just have a more developed fan base, and it's been around a little bit more passionate just due to the fact that they've been winning a lot more. But down here in Southeast, we're definitely picking it up, and you can see that hockey's booming all over the state of Florida. I think there's like 25 rinks right now over the whole state, and I think it's just going to continue to grow. I think Anthony Duclair just built a full synthetic ice facility down in Fort Lauderdale just to kind of make it more accessible for more of the population. I think obviously it's really expensive sport, so the more accessible we can make it for for the youth growing up, I think the bigger and bigger the sport's going to get. But every time I go to Tampa, I'm always blown away. There's just people. You go to the supermarket and there's someone wearing a hockey jersey. It's hockey's really booming up there as well. So I think it's in a really good spot. And I think people forget too. We also have like ECHL teams in Orlando and in Estero, and I think that those are also really big factors on kind of growing the game and giving kids a glimpse of some different hockey if they're not able to get to the NHL or watch NHL hockey because they're living far away from it.
Yeah, no, I think like so much of the growth has been because of the NHL teams having success here in the last few years, like the East Coast League too, like the Florida Everblades, the two-time champs as well. So seeing success, like, part of growing like the hockey community. I'm curious, like you having roots in Toronto and obviously in South Florida, do you kind of claim the Leafs as your team, or you kind of root for the Panthers as well? Like, who's kind of your NHL franchise
So
you root
I'm
for?
a Leafs guy. I'm always a Leafs
Mm-hmm.
guy. I mean, I hate that I'm a Leafs guy, obviously, yeah, I mean, it's just I can't help it. I hate them, but I watch them,
Yep.
and yeah, I guess it'll always be that way. My
Yeah.
dad, my dad's 53. He's never seen him win. I'm 23 now, and who knows? But yeah, it's ups and downs. It's fun though.
Well, I know that second round last year had to be pretty awkward for you going up against the Panthers.
It was just the most Leafy thing to do. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
surprised. I was just happy they got there, and you can't expect anything else. So it is what it is.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I know what you mean. And you mentioned earlier, I also saw Senior Hockey DB playing in the North American League when in Brookings with the Blizzard. I know that team has since relocated. What was like that experience like for you? Like, obviously, that's nowhere near Florida, nowhere near Toronto. Like, what was that kind of like playing in Brookings, South Dakota?
It was an unbelievable experience. I'm not. I would say. I always say I wouldn't be able to do with what I do now, running the South Florida Wolfpack, if I wasn't. If I didn't get able to go up to Brookings and learn from Mo Mantha and Devin Mantha, the coaches up there, and they were awesome. They showed me the way, how to be a little bit more of like a professional and kind of take on more responsibility as a player, and making sure your nutrition, your off ice, good habits on the ice are very important. I didn't have a large role on the team at the time, but I stuck it out. I was there the whole season, and it was it was an awesome opportunity. And it gave me a little bit more clarity on what I wanted for my hockey career, and being up there and playing at that high level, and even giving they did give me opportunities, and I was very appreciative of that. And but at the end of the day, I just kind of looked at it and I was like, nah, I think I'm gonna go back to Florida. I like the lifestyle down there a little bit better, and I can still play hockey and have a good time, and get a lot more ice time down in Florida compared to being up there, and not have to scrape my the ice off my car in the morning before practice. So yeah, but it was an awesome experience. I would definitely do it again.
So, what point was it for you where you decided like FAU was like a place that you wanted to continue your hockey career and also your collegiate career? Like, obviously your experience of the game's kind of taking you different places. Was there a moment where you decided that FAU was the point where you wanted to continue your hockey career?
Yeah. So like when you're at that level, your coaches they really want to. Their job is to move you on to NCAA, so they really want to make an effort on that. And our coaches did a great job of communicating with us on kind of how that process works, and how they can also help us within that process. So, they always would say, hey, you guys have any schools you want us to reach out to send clips to, or invite a scout to come watch you play, because you have showcases, and we're traveling all over Minnesota and the Dakotas, and so there's scouts all over that can come watch. So they did a good job of offering us like opportunities, like, hey, coach, I want you to reach out to this school or that school or this school. And when they said that to the team, I went home that night and I went on my computer and I tried to learn a little bit about the schools that you're actually going to go to, because before that it's more, I just want to go Division 1. I just want to go Division 1. So I got to make the null. Okay, let's try to go make the null. And then you get there and it's like, okay, well, where do you want to go play 4 years? You'd have to be a 21-year-old freshman as well. And, where do you want to go do that? And that's when I realized, yeah, I didn't have any schools I wanted to give my coach to reach out to, or, say, hey, watch me play on this weekend. I just didn't have any. And that's when I realized, yeah, I think I'm going to go home, play with some of my friends, and have a good time in Boca instead of, the grind of figuring out what NCAA school you're going to go to, and then who knows what happens there. My age out year was also COVID year, so who knows what
Right.
would have happened as well. It would have been tough.
Well, that kind of led me into like one of the next things that I was going to ask about, because I felt like, over the last, I don't know, 5+ years or so, like the gap has closed, like between like between like club hockey and like obviously not touching like the high level of NCAA, but like lower levels of NCAA, like D3. I feel like the difference in like competition like isn't so far apart anymore between club and Division 3 and lower levels of Division 1. Do you kind of feel like the club level kind of like this is kind of taken over, like kind of like the next wave of competition, like after you get beyond like your high end Division 1 programs? Do you feel like that's kind
Yeah,
of
I
like,
think once
there you
you
go.
get past the high end Division 1 programs, and there's even some really high end Division 3 programs.
Mm-hmm.
If you take the high end Division 3, they can compete with the low end Division 1, and I think the high end, AAU or even ACHA Division 1, they could probably give some Division 3 teams some competition. But you do got to remember at the same time, those kids are skating every day, and they did to come to this level. You have to kind of swallow your pride a little bit. You got to swallow your ego a little bit to come from a higher level like that down to clubs. So the kids that decided not to swallow their ego and they're still playing every day, they're it's a different mentality. So clubs are a little bit more relaxed, and I find that the NCAA level, with some of my friends that did decide to continue on and go into those levels, they're on the ice every day. They're still doing team video all the time. It's more of like a full-time gig, where when you come down to club, you can I personally skate 3, 4, 5 times a week depending on my schedule. But if somebody was just skating with the Owls and only FAU, they would only get on the ice twice a week. So over time, over a few years, the skill gap between someone skating every day and twice a week will be pretty substantial.
Yeah, one of the other like huge selling points as well, like for teams like in this part of the country, is like getting to play in places like Boca and Tampa and like other like college environments that don't necessarily have the NCAA programs. And
yeah,
so
but
like
to cut you off, the fans there's more. We get more fans.
Exactly.
That's the fun. That's what makes it a lot of fun. If we weren't slammed every Friday and Saturday night at Ice Den, it wouldn't be as exciting to play at this level. But if there's people coming to watch and you can put on a show, it's a really good time.
Yeah, like because like the schools down here like have such big like followings, like large Division 1 like football programs, basketball, like the schools have like huge followings and stuff that obviously contributes a lot to it. Like one other question I wanted to ask was like obviously at Florida Atlantic, like this past spring was like a pretty special run for the men's basketball team going all the way to the Final Four. Like what was kind of like that excitement like around like Florida Atlantic and just kind of generating like a buzz around the university as a whole?
Yeah, a buzz is a great way to put it. It's definitely what it generated. Every time they would be playing, just going out to the bars or restaurants to watch, it was just awesome. Everybody just all cheering on the basketball team and watching them do something really special was just a really cool experience to have. And I think everybody's just, if you go look at our basketball games this year, they're another awesome experience to go do. And I think it's just great for the school, putting us a little bit more on the map and showing everybody that you can come to Boca and watch some good sports and also go to the beach.
It's just another huge selling point for you guys. I mean, it's got to be like one of the top destinations for sure. So one last question I wanted to have for you is, I know you mentioned all you've got going on in hockey with coaching and everything like that. So after your time in college, what are you planning to do all after the time at FAU is over? Are you trying to stay in hockey beyond college? And what else are you trying to do after your time at FAU?
I plan on continuing to run my program called the Self-Florida Wolfpack, and then I also have a training facility called Wolfpack Fitness. My lease was recently terminated because of music complaints, so I'm looking for it was DJ Randall, number 98. It was him. He was the reason. He's playing too much loud music in my gym, so they kicked us out. So I'm looking for a new spot right now, a little bit closer to Skate Zone in Lake Worth, Florida. So I'm looking up there right now to move all my stuff. It's all just kind of sitting in my garage right now, and yeah, so I continue planning. I do 5 tournaments a year, as well with private lessons, camps, and clinics. And I do plan on continuing to do this full time once I graduate. And I love it. I'm very passionate about it. And yeah, it's
I was going to ask, like, if you think you'll be able to make that like a full time work, like after your time in college is over.
Yeah. So I'm full time
awesome.
right now. I'm full time right now. I'm fully online at FAU for the last year and a half. So and able to do that so I can work and continue to run the program. It's gotten pretty big down here. We have a lot of clients, a lot of kids that we work with. So that's the plans for it to only continue to grow. And yeah, it's been great. I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to work within hockey and then also be able to make a good living off of it as well.
Awesome, man. Well, I just want to say thanks again so much, David Israel, College Hockey South Player of the Week this week. David, thanks so much for talking with us and sharing a little bit of your story with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Good luck to you guys this weekend. And thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 2 of the College Hockey South podcast. I want to send a thank you along to David Israel from Florida Atlantic for joining us as the most recent College Hockey South Player of the Week. I want to send a thank you as well to our producer, Harrison Smadjevitz, for producing this episode. And once again, make sure to check us out on the College Hockey South YouTube channel. We'll be releasing episodes weekly there, so make sure to like and subscribe. And once again, my name is Henry Yoho, and we will talk to you next time on the College Hockey South YouTube channel.